In the headlines, the Ministry of Agriculture to play a lead role in the marketing of agricultural commodities, a blow to Dominica's tourism sector as Norwegian Airlines pulls out of the region, and business owners warned not to rely entirely on police for the security of their property. I am Andrea Louis with the Channel 5 News, back with the details after this.
Imagine you have Hollywood at your command. Introducing Flow Evil. Anywhere you are.
Big girls don't scream hard like Halloween, make me feel alive.
There's a world of entertainment here, and you run the show. Flow Evil.
Thank you for staying with us. First up, the Ministry of Agriculture is positioning itself to play a greater role in the trade and marketing of agricultural commodities. Here is Julian Morris with more.
That was the aim of the first ever Agriculture Marketing Development Consultation held on Thursday. The consultation was geared at finding ways to streamline the process of agricultural production from farm to local and overseas markets.
The overall objective of the Ministry of Agriculture and Food and Fisheries is to improve market arrangements for agricultural products with a view to increase local consumption, export volumes, and value of these products. In this regard, the framework for implementation has been defined in two broad areas. One is the formulation of agricultural market and development strategies to support investments in local production into the local, regional, and international markets. Two is the development of strategic management approaches for the implementation of these strategies.
Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, Reginald Thomas, says Thursday's consultation marked a milestone in the development of agriculture here.
It is a direction that will lead us to the development of agricultural marketing into places that we have not gone with the promotion and distribution of our certified agricultural commodities. This new approach to our agricultural development put us at the perfect demarcation point where we are moving from the mere support to production to the support to production and marketing of agricultural commodities. The Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Fisheries is presently funding under the Public Sector Investment Program various programs to the tune of 27 million EC dollars.
Dr. Thomas says the ministry is formulating a strategic vision on production with marketing support for agricultural commodities produced in the country.
Lessons learned from focusing only on production support have led to dramatic swings in production from gluts to scarcity. Production gluts lead many times to the depression in the agricultural sector, with low product prices to farmers, frustration and loss of farmers in production and fishers, low margins to exporters and buyers in Dominica, and low margins to buyers and retailers in the external markets. Scarcities of agricultural products, on the other hand, has led to overpricing of products, loss of market share, and further depression of the sector. As a consequence, the long-term effect of these gluts and scarcity threatens to destroy our agricultural productive base and make our returns on investment of production support uneconomical.
One of the key products of the consultation is to get or gather data on products demanded for export or local consumption, thus allowing the ministry to properly plan production support programs.
In more top stories, UWP candidate for the Roseau Valley, Senator Rondell Charles, says landowners who will be affected by the geothermal project continue to have concerns. Mr. Charles told the news conference on Thursday he was also concerned for the residents who are awaiting answers on the land issue. He was not very explicit regarding the concerns that these landowners have, but he expressed a desire to see their concerns resolved.
The issue of land acquisition is not only a concern and a deep concern for the people of the Loda constituency or the Loda village, but it is a concern for those who are lending us the money to, which is the World Bank, The World Bank too is very much concerned about that issue. I strongly recommend that we cannot continue to have a situation where an important aspect of the project needs to be catered for, and that is land acquisition. And up to today, we cannot get any confirmation as to whether or not that is done. And there are a lot of complaints coming out from many of the landowners as it relates to the land acquisition. And therefore, in my capacity as an attorney, I will continue to assist anybody, and especially those that are directly affected, that in terms of that land acquisition, so that they can bring some, relief to these people.
Charles says he supports the geothermal project.
It's a project that I believe if it is properly managed, it will bring great benefits to the people of Dominica and the Roseau Valley by extension.
In other developments, there is no question that the Roseau Valley is blessed with tourist attractions. The area is home to the Warden Lake, Freshwater Lake, Bury Lake, and waterfalls, but the opposition UWP candidate, Senator Ronald Charles, believes the way this resource-rich area is being managed leaves a lot to be desired. He is also of the view that stakeholders and the wider community should benefit more from the tourist dollar.
I believe that by now that we should have a more structured and organized tourism product in the sense of which, in the sense of management, in terms of administration, do not see the benefits of it as they should. We have a whole set of vendors now that are literally struggling as it relates to the tourism product. I too believe that if, for example, the Roseau Valley is generating approximately, and I can be subjected to correction, but let's say approximately 300 and something visitors visit the waterfalls, for example, on a yearly basis. If we say out of this, a percentage is then given back to the community, and that should be across the board. So for example, if $5 is given, and then every time a tourist pass, the community gets back $1. That could go in a trust fund, and that could be used that when persons and other people in the tourism business needs assistance, they do not have to go far to get it, because we'll be generating that trust fund where persons can come and basically get that fund to enhance their product, to improve on their businesses and so.
Still with tourism, Prime Minister Skerrit has acknowledged the significant contribution which tourism stakeholders make to the national economy, even if these small enterprises are not necessarily reflected in data on the country's economic performance. It is an observation that the Prime Minister has made before, but he raised it again at this week's signing of an agreement between government and Vital developers for the establishment of a 72-room, 5-star rainforest eco-resort and spa near Loda.
These are hard-working people. These are industrious people. If you go to the Roseau Valley, there's so many small businessmen and women, so many of them. As tour guides, as vendors, as, small property owners, confectionaries, the number of people with small guest houses, spas. I mean, this place is really making a huge contribution to national development. It's something which I believe that is not really captured in our statistics, the impact of these small businesses on the economy. Because a number of these people may not be registered, or a number of them do not submit the statistics, or a number of them do not pay income tax. You don't always capture them in the system. And I think this is why I believe that the economy is much larger than is normally reported, because there's so many important elements of the economy that are not captured.
You are watching the Channel 5 News. Stay tuned for more after the break.
Imagine you have Hollywood at your command. Introducing Flow Evil.
Red cheese, gold rings, all black, everything creeping through the night.
Anywhere you are,
Big girls don't scream hard like Halloween, make me feel alive.
there's a world of entertainment here, and you run the show. Flow Evil.
Welcome back. President of the Dominica Hotel and Tourism Association is describing the pullout of Norwegian Airlines as a blow to the country's tourism sector. Julian Morris has that story.
Marvin Alexander James was speaking at Thursday's National Economic Forum organized by the Dominica Business Forum. James gave an account of the sector 1 year and 5 months after Hurricane Maria. She said among the challenges faced by those in the industry is that of access into the country.
Access has declined by 17.2%. So we now have 58 flights, weekly flights into Dominica versus 73 before Maria. In terms of total seats, there's a decline of 27.7%. So pre-Maria, there were 3,160 seats into the destination. Now it's 2,237 seats. However, there have been some new services like Inter-Caribbean Airlines from Totola into Dominica and St. Lucia into Dominica. There's also the additional Air Antilles flights from Guadeloupe connecting with Norwegian, and of course for the past few days we have heard of the disappointing news where Norwegian will no longer come into Guadeloupe. And because that really provided direct access from the US into Guadeloupe and into Dominica. So this is another hit for the sector.
Jim says another challenge which hoteliers and tourism stakeholders face is lack of financing.
So majority of the tourism sector, we're unable to rebuild, upgrade, or make our businesses more resilient because of lack of access to finance. And what we are finding is that the persons in the sector, owners of businesses in the sector, they have a very high debt burden. They lack security and collateral that they can present to a bank to get additional financing because, for example, their certificate of title is already tied up with another bank and there's no way that they can add on more loans and so on. Some of the persons, small businesses, small hotels, they do not have the necessary requirements such as, say, audited statements or the proper management structure and systems and business plan in place that a financial institution would request.
A smaller trained labor pool is also presenting a challenge for the sector.
What we see is a shortage of labor. It's very difficult to get persons to work. It may be as a result of migration. As we know, a lot of persons left Dominica post-Maria. There are also a lack of trained persons for the sectors in all areas, to include the frontline, supervisory and management. We continue to struggle with that. And of course, the quality of the tourism labor force.
Several solutions were proposed to combat these hurdles, including grant funding, debt restructuring, and sustainable training for service providers.
Business owners have been warned not to rely solely on police for the security of their property. The warning came from Executive Director of the Dominica Employers Federation, Achille Joseph. Joseph warned employers that the onus is on them to protect their property and assets through the development of a robust disaster plan.
We are advocating that in your business continuity planning at enterprise level and even at sectoral level, please address the issue of post-disaster security. And I'm going to be bold to say, don't depend exclusively on the police. Build security initiatives into your disaster plan. You can partner with local security providers, or even if you have some sort of schematic at your workplace that you can activate, but ensure that coming out of a hurricane or any disaster, you have security measures for your business and your property.
Joseph believes Hurricane Maria provided an opportunity for employers to better structure the manner in which they implement wage increases.
I think we also miss an opportunity to index productivity, something we've been talking about for a very long time, and to make productivity the leading driver in wage increases and overall remuneration packages. We currently in Dominica do not measure productivity in any kind of industry setting or at a national level. As a result of that, if you were to do a productivity assessment, say over the last 5 years or 6 years, you may just find that Payroll may have been growing at a faster rate than productivity. Payroll may have been growing at a faster rate than our GDP growth rate. Payroll may have been growing at a faster rate than the changes in the consumer price index, which essentially means we are pricing ourselves out of the competitive market.
The DEF's executive director highlighted areas which the country can look at for the employment sector to better rebound from the effects of a natural disaster.
One, we all know about the Caribbean Catastrophe Risk Insurance Facility, which is a CARICOM child that has been created to provide financial resources to states in the event of catastrophic events in the Caribbean. Also, proposals for labor-intensive activities, I think, should also be green-lighted by the state to access financing from CBI, from the Aid Bank, and other sources where the public sector essentially has a deciding voice. And I say labor-intensive because unemployment is a major issue for us. Point number 3. Some of you may know about the Redundancy Benefit Fund. It is a fund that is administered by the Dominica Social Security. It is in the name of the Minister for Labor. It is a fund that is contributed to only by private sector employers. In other words, the state does not contribute to the Redundancy Benefit Fund. Employees do not contribute to the Redundancy Benefits Fund. A contribution of 0.25% of payroll for non-managerial employees are contributed to the fund. The fund probably stands at about $15 million right now. Probably the greatest drawdown on the fund has ever witnessed has been the impact of Hurricane Maria. Prior to that, I think it was the closure of the DBMC.
And each year on February 14th around the world, cards, gifts and flowers are exchanged between loved ones in the name of St. Valentine. February has long been celebrated as a month of romance, and that St. Valentine's Day, as we know it today, contains vestiges of both Christian and ancient Roman tradition. But who was St. Valentine and how did he become associated with this ancient rite? One legend contends that Valentine was a priest who served during the 3rd century in Rome when Emperor Claudius II decided that single men made better soldiers than those with wives and families. He outlawed marriage for young men. Valentine, realizing the injustice of the decree, defied Claudius and continued to perform marriages for young lovers in secret. When Valentine's actions were discovered, Claudius ordered that he be put to death. Other stories suggest that Valentine may have been killed for attempting to help Christians escape harsh Roman prisons where they were often beaten and tortured. According to one legend, before his death, an imprisoned Valentine wrote a letter to his girlfriend signed "From your Valentine," an expression that is still in use today. Fast forward to today, an estimated 145 million Valentine's Day cards are sent each year, making Valentine's Day the second largest card-sending holiday of the year. Women purchase approximately 85% of all Valentines. To end the news, the headlines again. The Ministry of Agriculture to play a lead role in the marketing of agricultural commodities. A blow to Dominica's tourism sector as Norwegian Airlines pulls out of the region. And business owners warned not to leave security of property entirely up to police. Feel free to contact us at news@marpin2k4.com. You can also access our past newscasts on our YouTube channel. On behalf of the entire production team, I am Andrea Louis, and to all of our viewers around the world, thank you so much for watching. Join us tomorrow.